So what I want to talk about is the Chicago Electric Flux welder. It's 125 amp. I picked this one up at Harbor Freight. I got it on sale for $89.99, 90 bucks. And I just bought it to do some basic body work on this 1987 Jeep Comanche that I've got. Now, I had to cut out and replace the passenger and driver side floor pans. Well, the driver side I just patched. The passenger side I actually hand fabricated my own floor pan, and the fender arches on the bed were 8 out. It was really 8 out bad on the passenger side, but the right hand side wasn't too bad. So that's my experience with the Chicago Electric Flux welder, and I just want to give you guys my opinion. To cut all the BS, just so you guys know, I'm not a pro welder, okay? I've got very limited experience welding, so this is just from my perspective and my experience playing with this welder. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a welder. This is the first welder I've ever had. First time I've really ever done it other than fiddling around in my buddy's garage when he was already doing stuff, so I didn't have to set it up or anything like that. So, basically, I get this welder in the box. It comes with this little chintzy mask and a pretty crappy brush, as you can see right here. The putting it together was simple. I just had to open it up. Let's see if I can't do this with one hand. And I had to, it came with the wire also. I had to run the wire through the line here and assemble this. And that's basically it. It comes with a cool little chart here that tells you your wire and your wire speed for the thickness of steel you're using. Did I use it? Nah. I didn't even pay no attention to it. I just came down here and fiddled with my wire speed until it seemed to do good. Now, this welder's only got a minimum and max temp setting and your wire speed. That was it. And the thing that I really came to find out, that with this welder, you just put it on max heat and you play with your wire speed, and that's really all you need. I mean, it worked great once I pretty much figured out it liked it about 4.5. And that was any kind of metal that I was doing. Some stuff I forgot to clean and I was welding through rust, or say I had some paint on it, or the metal wasn't in the good shape that it needed to be really to weld. Or I had already previously welded it and I didn't take the brush and clean the metal and nothing like that, and I was welding on top of it. It did it all. I mean, this little welder, once I got the hang of it and figured out, how it worked and how close I needed to get the tip to the work and stuff like that, it just plugged right along. The welds aren't pretty, and that's me for lack of experience probably. Did the welds hold in my floor pan? I'm saying the welds were good, because I got inside and jumped and stomped around on the floor pan and none of the welds broke. So that's how I tested it. But it did good, And you'll see, I had some pictures of like the fender well that I patched on the left and right hand side. Like I said, my little spot welds aren't pretty, but they hold, and that's all I really needed. So with that said, this mask. Let's talk about this thing. This thing sucks, okay? I mean, it's better than nothing, and I appreciate the fact that they gave it to me in the box. But when you're a new welder and you're trying to get this, you're trying to hold this in front of your face, and you're trying to hold the business end of the welder, and you're trying to maybe tack in a piece of metal, like add metal to a fender or something like that, and you don't have a third hand, it's really difficult, to do it. And I don't recommend just not using the mask and holding your little piece and just closing your eyes, because trust me, I've had eye damage before. I've had a cornea abrasion where they had to drill into my cornea with a little bitty drill bit, kind of like what you get the dentist. Yeah, it sucks because you get rusty metal in your eye or something like that. It's horrible. So, yeah, you got to have a mask. So I spent the extra 50 bucks. I bought a auto dimming. This is like a solar mask. I believe it's $50. You can see it's got the little settings in here. This makes welding, this mask right here makes welding just a chore. It sucks. But you get you a good mask where you can free up your hands and you can really get on your work, and you can put your fingers down and touch and hold stuff, and it makes it fun. I really enjoy welding. It's nice to know your eyeballs aren't going to get burnt out. So yeah, get you a good mask. The next thing is they give you this brush. The end of it's pretty cool. I use that a whole lot, but as far as the brush part, it sucks. You can see all the bristles are far apart, and it's just real crappy quality. And I mean, it'll do in a pinch, I guess, but I invested in a very nice brush, and I can't remember what they call it, like a chipper hammer. It's like it's a hammer for welders, you know, where you can knock your weld and get the slag out and all that stuff. So I bought that. So there's one more thing that I think you guys should invest in to go with this weld. So let's talk extension cords. Now, this cord on the right is a 10 gauge, 100 foot contractor's grade extension cord. This cord on the right is a 16 gauge little like household use extension cord. Now, when you're using substantial electrical tools like a welder, even though it's a $90 welder, it's got quite the draw. You want to have a good thick cord that can handle the load and it doesn't get hot. Now, if you pull too much on a little wire like this, it's going to get hot, it could melt, or it could be a safety issue. Especially since I live in a mobile home, I want to have a little bit more insurance and have a thicker cord, because I plug this into the wall, into my mobile home, and I run the wire outside and do what I got to do. So invest in a good cord. Now, with that said, me, like I said, since I've got limited welding experience, this is my first welder. I think this welder is perfect for the home user or the novice that's looking to learn how to weld, or you just got small projects, like maybe you need to patch the mower deck, or you got like a tractor implement that might need to be fixed. You know, it says it can weld up to a 3/16 inch steel plate, which is pretty big. You know, it's not like giant or nothing like that, but you know, it's substantial. So, or maybe you do a lot of car repairs. You know, you do quarter panels, you put in rocker panels, you do floor pans, or you're an off-road guy, you might have some type of four-wheel drive. Maybe you need to build a cheap and easy bumper, or do some I don't know, say you need to repair some shock mounts, or just anything on a four-wheel drive truck that you might need to repair. It's a fairly compact, easy little MIG welder to take with you. Maybe you go to the trail, you do some off-road driving. Take this. Usually most guys that go off-road and have a small generator, you can power this in the field. You don't have to screw around with like a tank and gas and, you know, all that stuff. You got it right here. But on the other hand, a lot of guys that go off-road and have little bitty stick welders, or they can improvise a stick welder. But like I said, it's just got a lot of possibilities. It's not real heavy. It's not awkward. You know, I'm sure you could find 101 uses for this little welder. But with that said, I've not had any problems with it. It's done everything I asked. It was very affordable. And I think for the everyday average Joe that just needs to do some little stuff around the house, it's perfect. Now, maybe when I get a little bit further along in my experience with welding, I might try some thicker stuff. Yeah, it's quite possible. But I've seen guys on YouTube make videos. They're trying to test the weld strength from this, or like maybe a $300 welder that uses gas. You know, one guy was welding 3/16 inch steel plate in like a 90, you know, and putting it under a load and trying to break the welds. Of course, the Chicago electric welder, or the welds, kind of started to tear out after like 4,000 pounds or something silly. But it was also, the weld never did fail, and it was bending that big thick steel plate. In a real world scenario, in my eyes, if you're bending steel plate like that, you're probably doing something wrong, and you shouldn't blame the weld. You know what I mean? So I think this is a great little welder. And I'll leave all the links below for all the stuff I mentioned in this video in the description, so you guys can click on those links, check it out. And you know, I just think it's a good little welder. It does what I need. So with that said, guys, I'll see you guys later.